Okay, so the SBI Foundation, to those maybe not familiar, they're the CSR arm, the corporate social responsibility arm of the state bank group. Their whole mission is about uplifting underprivileged communities, livelihoods, education, environment, a really wide scope.
And their reach is massive. We're talking over 20 million beneficiaries already. They're not small players.
No kidding. And they're serious about linking this to global goals, too. Their big program, SBF Concert Double.
Right. CONSERS stands for Conservation through Sustainable Engagements, Restoration, and Wildlife Protection. It's specifically designed to help hit those UN Sustainable Development Goals.
SDGs, yeah. Like clean water, clean energy, climate action.
All the big ones.
So CONSER has 4 main pillars: waste management, wildlife protection, renewable energy, and ecosystem restoration.
4 key themes.
And for our deep dive today, we're zooming in on just one part of that, the adoption of solar power theme. It falls under their SBIF Conserbifa initiative.
So just to be super clear, this isn't a call for any green project. SBI Foundation is laser focused here. They want proposals specifically for implementing solar power solutions.
Okay, solar power.
And these aren't short-term fixes. They're thinking bigger picture projects running for 2 to 3 years.
Starting in the next financial year, right? 2025-26.
That's the plan, yeah. FY 2025-26.
And the money involved.
Yeah.
It's not small change either.
Definitely not. The range is pretty substantial, from half a crore rupees, so 50 lakhs, all the way up to 4.5 crore rupees.
Wow. But okay, here's where it gets interesting. There are some financial requirements for the organizations applying.
Yes, exactly. And this really signals how serious they are about this. Depending on the project budget you're asking for, you need to show a certain minimum cumulative revenue.
Okay, break that down.
Right. So if your proposal is between 50 lakhs and 1 crore, your organization needs a cumulative revenue of at least 2 crore over the last 3 financial years.
So 2 crore total income over the last 3 years for those smaller projects. And for the bigger ones.
For projects asking for over 1 crore, that minimum jumps way up to 5 crore cumulative revenue.
5 crore. Okay, so they're clearly looking for established organizations, ones with financial stability.
Precisely. It shows they want partners who can handle these large-scale projects effectively, minimizing risk.
Got it. So the core mission here is finding experienced groups who can really deliver on solar power adoption. All right, good overview. Let's dig into the why a bit more. Why this specific push for solar?
Well, it ties directly back to those UN Sustainable Development Goals we mentioned earlier. SDG 7 specifically, affordable and clean energy for all. That's the main target within renewable energy for SBI.
Makes sense.
But, it's bigger than just that one goal. These solar projects also feed into other SDGs. Think climate action, SDG 13, and building sustainable communities, which is SDG 11.
Right, it all interconnects. And for you listening, understanding that context is key. It's not just about installing panels. It's about being part of this larger shift towards sustainability. Okay, let's get practical. The scope of work. What kind of solar projects are they actually looking for?
So the RFP lays out 3 main sub-themes. First one is about access. Think off-grid solar plants, rooftop systems, solar lighting, especially in remote, underserved areas.
Places without reliable electricity now.
Exactly. The big ambition here is even creating energy self-sufficient villages. Imagine the impact on equity, on basic access.
Huge. Just having reliable light and power opens so many doors. Okay, what's the second area?
The second sub-theme is community-based solar lift irrigation systems.
Oh, water. Crucial.
Totally. This hits water availability for farming, vital for rural livelihoods and for drinking water. You can see the immediate practical benefits there, life-changing stuff.
Absolutely. Reliable water can transform agriculture. And the third focus?
The third one is about making institutions energy self-reliant. So think schools, community centers, maybe small local businesses,
Right.
Transforming them with solar energy solutions. It cuts their reliance on the grid, saves costs long-term, and, sets a great example for the whole community.
So 3 clear areas: access, irrigation, and institutions. We know the what. How does SBI Foundation see these projects actually getting done? What's the implementation framework look like?
They've outlined a pretty structured step-by-step approach. It all kicks off with a baseline study.
Okay, step 1, understand the situation.
Right. You need to know the current energy scene, the socioeconomic needs, assess the actual demand for solar before you start planning.
Smart. Get the lay of the land first. What's next after the study?
Then, and this is really emphasized, thorough community consultation. This isn't meant to be top-down.
Good.
Project sites need to be finalized with the community. And then you prepare a detailed project report, the DPR.
The blueprint.
Exactly, based on that local input and understanding, objectives, methods, budget, timelines, everything.
Community buy-in right from the start.
Yeah.
Seems essential for making it stick.
What else? Well, obviously getting the necessary government and local approvals, that's fundamental.
Bureaucracy, got to navigate it.
Yep. And then they encourage partnerships, sharing knowledge with other orgs, government bodies working in solar. Also, community mobilization, awareness sessions, that's key for long-term sustainability. People need to understand it.
So it's not just about dropping in tech, it's building capacity around the tech.
Precisely. The actual installation involves community groups, plus training on how to operate and monitor the systems. And they even mention other stuff like scoping studies and impact assessments down the line. It's quite comprehensive.
Okay, a really thought-through process. Now, location, location, location. Where do they want to see these projects happen? Any priorities?
Yes. While proposals are welcome from anywhere in Pan-India, they say there's a clear preference.
It's just...
Priority goes to projects in remote, tribal, and hilly villages, especially in aspirational districts where there's little or no grid connection right now.
So focusing the impact where it's arguably needed most urgently.
Exactly. It really directs the help to the most underserved places. That feeling we talked about, making a real difference, this targeting underlines that potential.
Yeah, it adds that layer of urgency. Okay, so if you're an organization thinking, hey, we can do this, what makes a proposal really stand out? What are they looking for during evaluation?
Several key things. First, the proposal itself. Does it directly align with their adoption of solar power framework? That's on page 11 of the RFP, by the way.
Okay, alignment is number one.
In clarity. Is it concise? Are the outcomes measurable? Is the plan clear? They also value innovation, solid risk mitigation strategies, a detailed log frame with realistic timelines.
The nuts and bolts need to be tight.
Very tight. Plus, a clear monitoring and evaluation process. They want to know how you'll track progress.
What about the money side of the proposal?
Ah, yes. Admin costs. They'll look closely at the overhead percentage. They want most of the money hitting the ground, obviously.
Makes sense. Less bureaucracy, more impact.
And crucially, a very clear exit strategy and a plan for sustainability. What happens after the SBI funding stops? How will these solar systems keep running?
Right. That long-term view is critical. It's not just install and walk away. What about the organization itself? Their track record must matter hugely.
Oh, absolutely. Big factor. First, you need to have been around for at least 3 years as of April 28th, 2025.
Okay, minimum 3 years existence.
And you need an established presence in the state where you're proposing the project. They also want to see proof demonstrated ability that you can actually improve measurable outcomes.
Show us the results.
Exactly. And here's a big one. You need to have successfully completed at least 3 similar projects already.
3 similar projects. So, proven expertise in this specific area. They want seasoned players.
They really do. They need to see you have the capacity and the experience to deliver.
Okay, so that's what makes a proposal strong. What about the flip side? What are the definite deal breakers, the things that get you rejected right away? Knowing the red flags is just as important.
Vital info, yeah. Several things will get a proposal tossed out immediately. We mentioned the revenue thresholds earlier. Miss those minimums based on your project budget.
And you're out.
You're out.
Yeah.
Also, any political or religious affiliations, that's a no-go. They want neutrality.
Focus purely on the impact. Got it. What else?
Failing to submit all the required due diligence documents, they list everything in Annexure 2 that you have to provide it all.
Okay, paperwork matters, details matter.
Definitely. Also, having fewer than 3 board members or fewer than 5 permanent staff members, that raises red flags about organizational capacity and stability.
Right, suggests maybe the structure isn't robust enough.
And one more. If individual donors make up your top 3 funding sources in the last 2 financial years, that can also be a reason for rejection. They likely prefer a broader, more diversified funding base.
Okay, really important points for anyone applying. So let's say an organization ticks all the boxes, they meet the criteria. What are the key instructions, the practical stuff they need to follow for submission?
Okay, first big rule. 1 proposal per agency. Only 1. Submit more, and all of them get disqualified.
Ouch. Don't get greedy.
Just
1 shot.
1 shot. The proposal has to be in English. Keep it direct, concise, comprehensive, no fluff.
Get to the point.
Exactly. Lay out the implementation plan step by step. And that detailed log frame with realistic timelines is absolutely essential.
Clarity, focus, thoroughness. Got it. What about actually sending it in, the logistics?
Right. Follow all the instructions in the RFP document to the letter. Complete all the required forms that are on the SBI Foundation website. And deadlines are critical here.
Okay, key dates.
Last day for asking questions, clarifications, is May 10th, 2025. The absolute final deadline for submitting the proposal soft copy via email is May 25th, 2025.
May 25th for the email submission. That's coming up.
It is. Then, shortlisted NGOs get contacted around June 5th. Presentations are tentatively set for June 15th to 20th, and final selections announced after July 1st, 2025. It's a tight schedule.
Definitely need to get moving if you're interested. How exactly do they submit the soft copy? Any specific instructions there?
Yes, very specific. Email it to spifconcertwrfp@spyfoundation.co.in. That's SBIFCONSELERRFP@spyfoundation.co.in.
Got it. And the subject line?
Crucial detail. The subject line must be SBIF Concert RFP NGO name. Replace NGO name with your organization's actual name.
Okay, exact format. SBIF Concert WRFP, your NGO name. They'll only ask for hard copies later.
Correct. Only from the shortlisted organizations who get invited to present. So nail that email submission first. Attention detail is clearly key.
No doubt. What about the grant terms once selected? Anything key to know up front?
Yeah, a few things. Funding comes in installments quarterly or half-yearly, and it depends on satisfactory performance and submitting regular reports, signed and certified.
Standard practice for grants. Accountability.
Right. You'll need a separate SBI bank account just for the grant funds, and there will be a formal grant agreement or MOU memorandum of understanding signed, laying out all the terms.
The legal framework.
Yep. And important to note, it includes clauses about penalties if there's any fraudulent activity.
Good governance.
Yeah.
Okay, the RFP also mentions annexures. NDA, due diligence checklist. Sound important.
Very. Annexure Ho is the non-disclosure agreement. Selected agencies sign it, promising confidentiality about sensitive info.
Standard stuff.
Annexure Sex is that big due diligence checklist. It lists everything they need: registration certificates, detailed financials for 3 years, IT returns, annual reports, org profile, board member bios, policies. The works.
Wow, they really want the full picture. Thorough vetting.
Absolutely thorough. It shows the level of detail required.
And there are other annexures, too, for evaluation and the agreement format.
Correct. Annexure 3rd is the technical evaluation format. Annexure 4th is the financial format you need to use. And Annexure V is the template for the grant agreement MOU itself, all accessible via links in the RFP.
Okay, we have covered a lot of ground here. Let's try and boil it down. For everyone listening, what are the absolute key takeaways from this deep dive into the SBI Foundation RFP?
I think the main message is this. SBI Foundation is serious about funding impactful, well-planned solar power projects in underserved parts of India. They're putting significant money on the table, 0.5 crore to 4.5 crore, which is substantial.
That funding level alone says a lot.
It does. It signals they want projects beyond just pilots, projects with real scale and lasting impact.
But there's always a but.
They need experienced, stable organizations. You need that track record, those 3 similar projects. You need the financial stability. And you absolutely need a focus on sustainability, real community involvement, and achieving outcomes you can actually measure.
So it's a major opportunity, but for organizations that are truly prepared and aligned with those principles.
Exactly. It's a chance to do something really meaningful in the renewable energy space, backed by significant resources.
And, thinking beyond just the energy itself, it makes you wonder about the ripple effects. What happens when you bring reliable power to a remote community, beyond the lights coming on?
Right. What does it do for local businesses, for kids studying at night, for safety, for, community connection?
Yeah, what are those maybe unexpected, broader socioeconomic benefits that spin off from energy independence?
That's a great question. It really highlights the potential catalytic effect of these kinds of focused interventions.
Definitely something to think about, the power of targeted action to spark wider change. Thanks. This has been a fascinating deep dive.
My pleasure. A lot to unpack there.